Hello, good people, and welcome back. I am Fumi, a business analyst turned software developer, continuing to document my ServiceNow journey. Today, we will be looking at JavaScript and the core ServiceNow Glide API. We will explore how to build a robust VIP executive support protocol. We're going to go beyond the basic configurations to learn how client scripts and business rules actually work together by balancing a dynamic user experience with absolute fail-safe database security. Business has been booming at superwebsites.com, and right now, the service desk is chaotic. Bronze tier users are clogging up phone lines, and critical VIP issues are getting misdirected or lost in the standard queue. To fix this, we need a two-layered architectural approach. First, we will use the front-end logic to actively guide our agents in real time, hiding phone support from bronze users and flagging VIPs instantly. Second, because front-end browser scripts can sometimes fail to load or be bypassed, we will add further reinforcement with a back-end security rule to physically block anyone from assigning a VIP ticket to the wrong team. As always, we map out our architecture before writing a single line of code. Phase 0 is focused on our foundational data. We will create our executive support group and set up our custom service tier choice field. Phase 1 is where we will write our client script. We will use the GlideForm API to manipulate the browser UI in real time. Phase 2 is where we lock down the server. We will use the server-side business rules and the GlideRecord API to ensure our incident assignment is fail-safe. Finally, we will test the entire loop in Phase 3 before cleanly exporting our work for secure migration in Phase 4. With the blueprint locked in, let's get started. Before we get started, let's go ahead and create our custom update set. For this, we're going to call it the Super Websites Tiered Support Protocol, and then let's make it current. Great. Now you see that the update set has been updated. It's got the white glow behind it now. Next step is to create our executive support group. And we're going to call that the Executive Global Support Group. So let's create new. The name is Executive Global Support Group. And let's add a description as well. This will be the VIP tiered support service desk. And let's save this. Now that it's saved, we can actually add a group member. So we want to edit. Obviously, we need to make sure that the member that we add has an ITIL role. So I know for certain Fumi has an ITIL role assigned already. So let's update that and save. And then we move on next to our users. For the users screen to load, right? So we have here users I created earlier: Joe Burns, Terry Gold, Mimi VIP, and Fumi, who we know has the ITIL role, so they can see and manage incidents. So let's go into Joe Burns, because this is where we need to start configuring our service tier, and also we need to enable the out-of-the-box VIP flag that comes with ServiceNow, which we will do via the form builder. Ready. So we finally have the form builder loaded. So let's first enable our VIP field. Let's drop it just below the last name. And then next, because the service tier is a custom field, so we have to add it new. So the field is service tier and the type is choice. Let's add that in. And since it's the only custom field, we can mark it as done. And then let's put it just below or above of the VIP field. Let's save that. And now with the changes being saved, that save has now added the service tier into the database. So we should hopefully be able to add in our options. So here we have the first one being the bronze tier, and the next one is the gold tier. Obviously we don't need to add in the VIP because we're using the built-in custom VIP flag for the user. So let's save that. And now with that being saved, if we should return to our Joe Burns profile, let's reload the form. So now we see that the service tier and the VIP flag is now enabled on the form. And now that we're here, let's go ahead and assign the user tier. Let's save. I'll go ahead and update and save those changes. So I have configured the list view so that we can quickly make changes to the other roles. So we have this as gold and Mimi VIP. We need to change this to true. So we've configured our users and set their tier levels. Now the next step is for us to actually start working on the client's script. Scripts view loaded. Let's start working on our own custom client script by clicking new. And we'll call this the enforced tiered support protocol. And then the table that we want to work on is the incident table. Let's have the available on all mobile and desktop. What we want to happen is when there's a change on a specific field, for us, we want to focus on the color field. And if you notice, the onChange type loaded a script template. And I'll just run through the parameters in the onChange function signature. So one, we have the control. Control focuses on the HTML element of the field, in this case, the color field that we'll be manipulating. The old value is what's currently in the field, if it's blank or someone else's name, a different username, or and then the new value is when the agent working on the incident form replaces the old value with new value. The is loading, it's a check to prevent the script from running if the form or the field is in a loading state, so that the page doesn't hang and cause chaos. And then is template is just a boolean check, just for the user to know if they're using a pre-filled selection or they have to manually type in the information. So just to get going, I've actually prepared something that I call a pseudocode, and this helps me to focus on what I need to achieve in the function. So hopefully it would be also handy for you on your end. So pseudocode on line 8 of the script says clear any previous red error message from the color field and put the phone option back into the contact drop down in case it was removed from earlier. Now, remember in our case study, what we need to achieve is bronze users will not be able to contact incident support via phone, and our VIP users, we want them to be routed to a different support queue called Executive Global Support rather than the standard service desk. And we make no change to the gold tier users because they can make phone calls and they get routed to the standard service desk. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my previously prepared script. I'm just going to format that to clean up the code. Now, this G form, this is all standard from ServiceNow API. I'm going to put in the description of the video, but here is the place you don't have to memorize. It's the glide form, G form. On here, all the available functions are there. It explains what it does, and they give you examples of how to use the code. So I'm going to add it into the description of this video, right? So now, as the pseudocode explains, we have a hide field message from color ID, which is the first instruction, and then add option. So if the phone option was removed, then we put it back in. Now, if you notice, here we have the contact type, which is the form field, and then you have the phone in lowercase, and then another phone in the usual uppercase P. Now, the reason why we have phone in lowercase is that we want to make sure that we're mapping to the exact data field in the database. So in the database, it's written in lowercase phone, but the actual label on the form, the label on the form in the UI, is written in uppercase. So the combination together will ensure that we're always updating the correct record in the database. Now, let's move on to the next pseudocode section. So now in this section, it says, go to the database, grab the full profile of the selected color, and when you have it, pass it to the check user callback function. Now, again, I have this prepared, so I'm just going to paste in my script for this section. Obviously, for brevity, you don't want to be here all day watching me type. So once again, we're using the G form getReference. So this is what go into the database, get all the user information with color ID, and then check the user tier. Now we haven't defined the user tier, so we're going to do that next. So when we're defining our user tier, we need to, I'll just paste in the code that I have prepared for us. And then I can go ahead to explain. Again, I have added in the pseudocode. Let me reformat. Let's scroll a bit so we have the scripting section more in focus. So now we're defining our check user tier. So what we have, the pseudocode, check if the user is a VIP. If yes, pop up a warning alert on the screen, highlight the color field with a red message, then stop checking any further rules. Right? Now, because we have to use a red message alert, if you notice in the message, we have error. So that error is what makes the alert have a red background. And then the next section that we need to handle is our bronze users. So the pseudocode is convert the user's service tier to lowercase, because in some cases, if you remember, I used uppercase for labeling the tier values, uppercase bronze and uppercase B. So uppercase B for bronze and uppercase G for gold. So just to standardize, convert to lowercase. So whether it's uppercase, lowercase, it will get converted so that it's consumable and it's able to still map the tier version with what's in the database compared to the form. And then if it matches the bronze, remove phone from the contact type drop-down and show a blue info message explaining why. So again, we have on here, remove the contact phone, right? And then again, because we want a blue message, we're using the info. If we wanted green, we would use success to indicate that. So with all that being said, so we have our script ready. We can actually go ahead and save this. So let's submit. Actually, let me add a description, even though the name is self-explanatory. So let's update that and save. Right. So this is now ready. So what we need to do now is to move on to the business rules to work on the server-side logic. Let's go ahead and create our new custom business rule. And let's go ahead and call this Enforce VIP Incident Assignment Group. And once again, we want this running against the incident table. Oh yeah, we need to click the advance. So it's the advance check mark that enables us to write our custom script. But let's do the updating in the when to run. So we want this to run before a user saves their changes. So we're going to leave it as before, and we want it to be on the action of insert and update. Okay, now once that's been set, let's just save this for now. Awesome. So we can go ahead to our advanced tab. As you can see, we have our, once again, ServiceNow has provided us our starting off script. And as a Java developer myself, I was a little bit confused with the function. Why do we have an extra bracket wrapping up the function in the server side? And based on my research, I've come to understand that this is actually a way to make the function private, and the term is called immediately invoked function expression. So what happens is, as you can see, there's so many business rules in the ServiceNow database. And what happens is that when you obviously run the script, when the script gets run, that single save action can trigger hundreds of business rules in the back end. And you don't want the variables that you're using in this business rule to conflict with other rules and, link into and cause chaos. So the wrapper is meant to make the function private and contained explicitly within the business rule. So hope that clarifies why it looks different from the client side code. And then also the parameters that we have, the current and the previous. So the current actually refers to whatever changes that the agent has inputted, right? And then the previous will be what was in there prior to the agent's input. So I hope that clarifies that quickly. And then as usual, I am going to post in my pseudocode, which helps to explain what we will be doing in the business rule. So the first instance that we want to work on is we want to define the name of our VIP assignment group. So we're going to declare a variable. We're going to call that variable VIP support group. And then obviously the name of our group. So I've just pasted that in because I've written it prior. So VIP support group, and the group name is Executive Global Support. That's the name that we have set aside. Now the next step is to go ahead, check if the color is a VIP, and check if the currently selected assignment group is anything other than our VIP group, right? Because remember, we want to block our agents from assigning any VIP request to the standard service desk queue. With that being said, so we're just going to go ahead to open up our conditions, right? So we want the if condition. So what we're doing is we're checking, we're going to call the current, which is the input of the agent. And then we're going to dot walk to the fields that we want. So in this instance, we're using color ID, yes, dot, and then we're looking for the VIP, right? And we want to check that it has true Boolean configured. Then we also want to check in addition, so it's not or, it's in addition. So we're going to use double ampersand. So, and we want to check that the current dot assignment group. Now, usually you might be tempted to stop here at assignment group, but when you live it this way, excuse me, it actually fetches the sys ID. But what we want, so that we don't break the check, is we want the actual display name of the group. So we'll go one step further with the dot working, and we want to get the display value. So we want to get our display value, right? And then we want to make sure that if the current assignment group is not, right? Not is exclamation and then equal to our VIP support group. So this is when this function and this script will run. Those are the conditions, right? And obviously this is where we then open our curly braces so that we can then go ahead to write our much needed code. So here I'm going to just paste in. I'm going to paste in our. Oops. I don't know what's going on there. Bear with me. So I'm just going to paste in the pseudocode. Let's clean it up. Okay, everything looks good. Right. So what we want to do next is, if the rule is broken, then instantly cancel the database save action. Right. So in order to do this, once again, we want to get the current entry that the agent is typing in, and then we want to abort the action. So set abort action. Again, it's all dot working, and you can see all the options available, right? So we want to set, as you can see right there, it's a Boolean. So it's either true or false that we pass, right? In this instance, we want the abort action to be true. So let's go ahead and wrap that up. And then the next step is throw and show a red server-side error message on the agent screen explaining why the action was cancelled, right? It's good practice so that the agent can know, oh, I've done something wrong, this specific thing wrong. Let me go ahead and fix it. So we will go and use and reference our GS, which is the GlideSystem for the back end. Remember, for the front end, we have the Glide form. On the back end server side, we use the GlideSystem. So we're going to dot walk along that, and then we want to add error message. And we want to go ahead with the error message and state clearly abort. What else will I say? VIP incident must be assigned to the, we're going to concatenate here, to the VIP support group variable that we created earlier. More concatenation. Right. And then we just add in group. Right. Okay. So this looks like, yeah, this is everything that we need. Oops, let me just close up with a semicolon to close that out. But yeah, obviously we're not using the previous because we're not comparing against. We're just, what we're checking for is what is current and what is being actioned to be saved. So with this being done, let's save and update our changes, and we should be able to in the next step to test our client script and our business rules in our attempt to create an incident. Let us go ahead to actually test out our scripts for the client script and the business rule. And just before we get started, we can see with the channels we have chat, email, phone, and so on and so forth. So phone is an available option. So if we test out with Joel Bruns, who's Bruns tier, we get an info notice. Phone support is unavailable for Bruns tier. And if we check the channel options, the phone has been removed. Now, if we go ahead to test with Terry Gold, who is able to contact via phone, the phone has been added back into the list. There's no additional notice, and they can be assigned to the standard service desk. And finally, the big reveal. Let's test our Mimi VIP. We immediately get notified a VIP user, intro priority handling. We see on here the VIP flag is on the screen. The notice is in red. The username is in red. The color name is in red. Let's go ahead and add in a short description. So if we go test tier support enforcement, right? It's the school channel, running up by phone. Let's add the support group. Let's add the wrong one, the service desk, right? Let's save. And boom, we get a massive banner. A bot VIP must be assigned to the executive support group. They have told us the group that we need. So let's go ahead and make that change. Let's clear up this warning and see. Let's see. Save. Ooh, that's a surprise. I guess we're gonna both figure this out together. So let me go back to our business rule. We can use the history to navigate. Let's go back to a business rule. Right. Let's have a look at our script. So, let's see. Right. Let me clean up this code. I think it's a good idea for me to actually assign this as a variable. So let's create a new variable called selected group. So assign that there, and then let's replace. Okay, so this way we should be able to easily debug. So we're gonna do some debugging. I would like to focus on the group name itself, because that's where the check appears to be failing. So if I add some log lines, gs.addInfoMessage, let's declare a debug x with group. Sorry, bear with me. I figured might as well record me attempting to figure this out. So yes, let's do this together. We learn together, we grow together. Right, so if we add so the expected group is the VIP support group. And then I'm just going to replicate this and just change this to the selected group, and then replace this with the selected group variable, so that we can see exactly what the server side is seeing when comparing with my business rule script compared to what's actually in the database when comparing the group. So I'm going to update that. And okay, right. Let's bring us back to a new incident. So let's try again. Mimi VIP. Yes, we know Mimi is VIP. Our channel, short description with this mandatory test tier enforcement. Select our group, the executive global group. So if I try to, we know it's going to fail, but we want to see what the issue. Oh, right. I see the issue. I don't know if you notice as well, if you see with the expected group compared to the selected group. So from the database, I guess I made a mistake on my end. There's an extra gap between the T and the end of the square bracket compared to what we have in our script, which doesn't have any spacing. So there's two ways to fix it. I can go into the groups and edit the name, or I think a cleaner way is to actually make the change in the business rule. And there's a function most languages have that allows us to trim for spaces. So I believe if I should append .trim to the selected group, .trim. So if there's any spaces, it would get rid of it. So let's update that. Let's try again. See, test tier support enforcement. Phone, assignment group, executive support. Fingers crossed that was the problem. So if I hit save, and boom, it's fixed. So now you can see with our debug, it's identical. So that was the issue. I guess we all learned something new today. Nothing is perfect. So that is it. So if I go back to my business rule, I can actually remove my debug lines. Okay. I can get rid of my debug lines now. Oops. Let's see. It's right there. All right. So we've got everything working. So our next step really is for us to wrap up and prepare for migration. Let's go ahead and start our migration prep. So we need to actually complete the update set, which then enables the ability to export the XML. So once we change the state to complete and save, we're returned back to the default global state, and then the export XML option becomes available. So yeah, I'm just going to save this on my desktop for easy access. And then the next step for us now is to actually import our XML into a new instance. As you can see, this is a brand new instance. The color scheme is different, and we can test out our client script and business rules before we import. So let's open up a new incident form. Let's add in able as a color. You can see nothing happens. Phone line changes because we haven't yet implemented the actual business rule, but that's about to change because we're going to go ahead to retrieve our update set. This allows us to import, browse in a convenient location. Let's bring that in. Then we want to upload. And here we are. So we now have this update set uploaded. We see the content, all our changes that we made. And remember, before we update, we must always preview to make sure that our changes doesn't break the existing business rules that we already have in our database. So the check was complete. And now we can commit the update set. Excuse. Okay. So that's now complete. So if we go already, so now that we have successfully imported and previewed and committed our update set without errors, we can actually go ahead to look at our users list. We should see the obvious change. We've got our service tier now available and the VIP flag also available. And since we tested Able earlier, let's make Able our VIP. Right? Let's make Ray our bronze user. And we can have Norman be our gold user so that we can test this out in our incident creation form. So if we go on, create new incident, let's start with Ray, and boom. Now we have the notice phone option is not available for Ray. Let's try with Norman. Norman is our gold user, and the phone option has been added back in. There's no errors or anything like that. And finally, let's pull in Able. Able is our VIP priority handling user. The flag is on the screen, also in the red notice, very obvious, but let's ignore the notice anyway and go ahead and use the service desk assignment group. Let's try and save. Oops, my bad. Testing. Let's try that again. And here we go. We've got the wrong assignment group. If we fix this now and try again, and here we go. So today we were able to cover implementing client scripts for the UI and business rules for the server side. Then we're able to test it out on our first instance, export our update set, and then import it into our new instance and fully test out the exact same features as we would do in the real world. And yeah, so thanks for sticking with me. If this tutorial was useful for you, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what else you're interested in. But till next time, you have a good day and take care.